Hey, sounding off early AM. Sun is up there somewhere pretty bright. Walking around, got to do some yard work and what have you. But just wanted to sound off. Uh, Bit of a rant early on. Ready to get this Friday started, off of work, so got to get some things done. Uh, so, ladies, I'm going to sort of kind of be talking to you if you care to listen. If not, that's fine too. Um, So if your guy, your boyfriend, your significant other, whatever, can't talk to you, that can be a real issue, real problem, especially when it comes to intimacy or whatever. If he can't talk to you, then who can he talk to? It's socially not acceptable for a man to be to essentially convey his feelings or whatever, and he confides in you perhaps as one that will allow him to do that. And so if he ever feels that he cannot do that, if he feels you are preoccupied, if he feels like you are desensitized to his needs as a man, you'll lose in intimacy. You'll certainly lose. Um, and I think this is another huge issue in our society. A huge disservice to men. We're expected to work, to be providers, protectors, and what have you. And that's it. And that's all. Um, because we are socially considered the pillars, you know, it also comes with the obligation, the unspoken obligation to be tough, strong, um, not needy of anything, and that's just not true. It's just not true. It's what it's one of those molds we were cast in. It's one of those um, socially acceptable uh, norms. But again, like the question of whether something is legal or ethical comes to mind. Just because it's legal, just because it's a social norm, does not make it ethical per se. Doesn't make it right. Um, and I personally, I have a particular lady friend that I've known for many decades, and we're finding it hard lately. I'm peering away because that sun is just freaking intense, unbelievably intense. Um, and we've known each other for a long time. We're having communication breakdown where there's a misunderstanding on all kinds of levels. I don't know. I contend it could be the text messages. It could be the impersonal uh, way of telecommunications or using cell phones to communicate. But nonetheless, there's still that breakdown in communication. There's the division. There's all hypersensitivity when it comes to certain terms and verbiage or words used in communication. It's just a whole host of things that uh, and experiences that never had to deal with before. And so, in the current in my relationships as well, it's showing its ugly head, and just it's just a overall a lack of awareness, lack of care, and heavy expectation for laid upon men, myself included. Um, the mental health consideration for men is going very much unnoticed, I'll say. Again, expected to be strong, expected never to crack, never to break, always to persevere, just drive on, be a man about it, as the saying goes. This is striking directly at the heart of intimacy with men, care with men. I mean, you could easily, I mean, there's at times where, you know, we all have these thoughts, but we might not act upon them, which, you know, but there's times where, you know, I'm like, you know, who gives a crap? Uh, you know, I might as well just be what I'm going to be, whatever thoughts come across my mind, do what I like to do, forget everybody else. You know, those are thoughts that go through the mind, because it's like, you know, how do you get the world? How do you get people? How do you get the people in your sphere of influence, you know, to give you a break, to give you a breath? You know, there's so many expectations on men, that it seems that this position is sometimes just not even worth it. I can somewhat understand how men are falling off from their sexuality, you know, their gender identity, and they're choosing to become something else, you know, because it has become a heavy burden. The politicians aren't helping us out, are they? You know, mostly being men, they're certainly not helping us out with a lot of the corruption and things like that. But my question is that the way to deal with it? Is that the way they're dealing with it? To check out completely from the moralistic standards, to check out from that and become kind of a community, um, uh, a community person, say whatever people want to hear in order to get ahead, you know, to become, uh, connoisseurs of capitalism holistically, you know, and then to retreat and hide in your private realm and then become whoever you're going to be. But out in the public, you're always putting on this front, this face, always performing, and hiding behind the persona or mask. Persona is a mask of society or of the capacity in which you're acting. And so, you know, we really never see what the politicians are doing when the camera is off, do we? We never see. We only see when the camera's on. We only see in the news. Um, you know, but what's going on in private is a completely different world, I contend. And so, with that being said, I guess this rant is just to try to get women to realize, perhaps not do anything, but to realize, just start with the recognition that the mental health of men is failing miserably. And you want us to be intimate. You want us to be aware of your needs, your wants. You want us to carry society, be the strength, be the backbone. Uh, but hurt people hurt people. How many of you know that? And so I would strongly encourage, uh, you know, a discussion on the mental health awareness of men. And, you know, I would appeal to you and just say that consider the heavy weight. I know motherhood is a challenge. I know it's a lot of energy loss. I know it's a lot of pain and suffering, right? But after, you know, your 10 months, and I know that then it goes on to nurture and care for the child. Hopefully you have somebody there with you. But there comes a point in time where that starts to diminish. I know a mother is always a mother. I'm not talking against that or being insensitive to that fact. But what I'm saying is there comes a point in time where even the responsibilities, the full responsibilities of being mother, start to dwindle in the empty nest syndrome, and when the kids become a teen or whatever, and they pretty much are independent on their own. They don't really want or need much from you anymore. But I want to remind you that being a man, it does not dwindle. In fact, it gets more burdensome. The older you get, the less excuses you will have as a man about decisions and choices you make. And society gets harder upon you as the days go on, as the years go on, as you get older and age. The society expects more. It doesn't dwindle. It doesn't go down. It goes up. There's heavy expectations governmentally. There's heavy expectations family-wise. There's heavy expectations um, from the community for men, you know, who are expected to go above and beyond at all times. The only example I can think of is it would be socially acceptable, for a man to jump into a dangerous situation to shield and help a woman or child. But I don't believe the opposite is said. I believe it'd be actually socially acceptable for a woman to say, I couldn't do anything. I'm just a woman. I couldn't do anything to help that man as he was, subject to some kind of peril or whatever. I'm a woman. I couldn't do anything. I don't have the strength or whatever. For a man to say that same thing, or to be interviewed on the news and to say I was scared, or I wasn't strong enough, I can't do anything, I think that would be considered less acceptable by the standards of the community and family. And so it's definitely a disparity there. And I think, again, mental health awareness for men is something that is going unchecked, unconsidered. And I think women, if you want if you want to see good men, where the claim is going out that there are no more good men or hardly any good men left. If you want to see that, a revival, I'll say, of that, then we have to fix the foundational issues, the infrastructure of what it means to be a man. And most of us, like I've been saying, we're never taught how to become or be a man, how to act, and what have you. The education that we get comes from public school education, where there's always an agenda and a narrative. And so that's a big issue. When you depend on a machine or the system to teach you how to act or be, when the system is only out for itself, for self-sustenance and sustainability. The system is only looking out for its interests, not looking out for your interests. Okay. And so that's where we got our education on being men. Okay. And a lot of the machismo and machoism and all that kind of stuff, that's where that came from. All right. Tougher, the strongest, only the strong survive. We became more narcissists and what have you, because we are molding to the standards we see in Hollywood, the news, movies, TV, et cetera, et cetera. We're molding to that in order to be socially acceptable, in order to excel or be looked at as an elite. And that's the plight of men. And so I would ask that you consider these things today. I just wanted to put that out there so that it's on the record. I'd like to hear your comments and considerations on this topic. I call this a mandemic because that's what it is. And women, if you are one that is complaining about the fact that there are few men left, or good men, quote unquote, good men left, then you likewise understand and realize that there is a mandemic. So please go over to our Facebook group page. It's called Mandemic, one word, like pandemic, but instead mandemic. And join us over there as we have these discussions and more. We're going to talk about the things that nobody really wants to talk about. All right, because that's what time it is. All right, I apologize, just waking up. But I thought to get this on record ASAP so that I don't lose it as I get busy myself for the day. Appreciate you all for being here. If you appreciate this topic, give me a thumbs up. Why don't you do that right now, real quick, while we take a moment of silence? All right, thank you. Yep, right there, down in the bottom, hit that thumbs up. And then don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Share this with somebody that you think could benefit from this information or this conversation. And I would really like to begin to have these talks. All right, I think this is more necessary now than ever before. All right, let's not get lost in politics and forget about the humanity. All right, talk to you soon. Peace.